the truth about your narcissistic relationship and have tried to move on without success, this video is for you. To help you cope with life after breaking up with a narcissist, we have compiled a list of the top 5 challenges you'll face. If you are interested in learning more, subscribe to this episode and hit the bell button. Before we start, I have a quick question for you. Where do you struggle the most with accepting reality? Which of these realities do you find it hard to accept? Please share your experiences in the comment section and help other survivors feel less alone. The first one is the whole relationship was fake. That's right. It was all a lie. You invested your whole being into the relationship, not just your emotion. You put in a tremendous amount of effort, made many sacrifices, and yet you still made peace with a narcissistic person. You believed in this flawed person, put your faith and trust in them, and thought they were the one you had been waiting for. You saw them as your savior. However, when it actually happened, you experienced moral injury and harm to your soul due to the way you were treated. You were deceived, traumatized, abandoned, demoralized, and made to feel foolish. Others took advantage of your generosity, empathy, and compassion. Acknowledging that it was all fabrication now means accepting that everything you did for them or experienced with them, including the positive memories, was real. Accepting this means accepting that the charming, kind, and loving person you saw at the start of the relationship no longer exists and never did. If you believe it was all a deception, you are essentially admitting that the person who became a monster later in the relationship is their true self. This sudden realization can cause a paralyzing freeze response, making rational thought difficult. It can feel like witnessing someone getting stabbed in the face and being unable to process it. You may wonder if your imagination is playing tricks on you or if someone is playing a joke. The thought that someone could be capable of such violence and deception is overwhelming. This also holds true if you were subjected to narcissistic gaslighting, abuse, trauma, or other unbearable treatment. You were immobilized by the sudden realization of the truth. The idea that someone could be this evil is difficult to comprehend. And the next is all the nice things you experienced were fabrication, meant to manipulate your emotion. Your cognitive dissonance prevents you from accepting the reality that the narcissist lied about the happy moments you shared together. Why is this so? There is a conflict of emotions. When the narcissist was kind to you, they were also the source of your self-doubt and insecurity. This creates a divide in your mind, making it difficult to differentiate between truth and false experiences. Admitting that the positive memories you have are also false and were used to keep you in the relationship is a major step forward. It means letting go of a significant part of your life. Holding on to the hope of happy memories is better than nothing, but acknowledging that they were a lie means giving up the hope of ever being able to look back on your life with satisfaction and fondness. It is like accepting that everything was dark and empty from the beginning. In the middle, admitting that the wonderful times were just an illusion means acknowledging that you were misled. taken advantage of, and manipulated by someone you thought you could trust. This is why it can be so hard to accept that the wonderful days were just an illusion. And now we go to the next point is that the narcissist made you expect a dream but gave you a nightmare instead. Like all narcissists, they promise a bright future at the beginning of the relationship, offering false hope through unrealistic promises that they have no intention of keeping. The attractive and alluring future they paint for you becomes so captivating that it clouds your judgment, making it difficult to distinguish between reality and fantasy. By pretending to be the future you desire, the narcissist generates a trance-like state, causing you to fall for their lies. However, when you eventually come to realize that the future they promised you was nothing but falsehood and manipulation, the experience can be devastating. The promises of love, financial stability, and intimacy were all empty, leaving you with a world full of pain and difficulty. The narcissistic behavior of baiting and trapping you with false hopes and empty promises was a means to an end, fulfilling their own desires at the cost of your well-being. And the next number is that the narcissist denies privacy. Narcissists are notorious for denying privacy and closure to those they have hurt. Instead of providing resolution, they leave their victims feeling abandoned, alone, and with many unanswered questions. This creates a cycle of uncertainty and doubt, making it difficult for victims to move on with their lives. The lack of closure from a narcissistic individual shows that they did not value the relationship or the person enough to provide a satisfactory resolution. It is important to understand that the closure must come from within and through personal experiences, not from the narcissistic individual. By examining one's feelings closely and seeking to understand the events that took place, individuals can find the peace and closure they need to move forward. It is important to acknowledge that there are people in the world who exhibit narcissistic behavior and to educate oneself on narcissistic personality disorder. Understanding the reality of the situation is the key to freedom and healing. And the next point is the narcissist exploited you to acquire supplies. Accepting that you were used and exploited by a narcissist can be a devastating realization. It can make you feel as though you have no self-worth, confidence, or esteem. However, it's important to understand that it's not your fault you were taken advantage of, not because of any flaw of your own, but because the narcissist manipulated, gaslight, and twisted the truth to exploit you. At the time, you were in a state of fight, flight, or freeze, and that was how you survived in the relationship. Your access to the reasoning part of your brain was limited, and the narcissist continued to exploit you by immobilizing your nervous system. This creates a lot of guilt, and you may ask yourself why you allowed it to happen. But it is important to remember that you had no agency in the situation. Now, as you have access to your agency, it's natural to feel uncomfortable and ask questions like, how could I allow that? Or, why did I let it happen? However, it's crucial to understand that it wasn't your fault and you are not to blame for the abuse. Recognizing that someone objectified you takes time and requires a lot of self-reflection, but it is a crucial step in the process of healing and moving forward. The narcissist exploited you to keep you around as a source of supply. This is a difficult reality to face, as it means accepting that your self-worth, esteem, and confidence were compromised. You were used like a tool and discarded when you were no longer useful. This can be painful, as it implies that you were manipulated and taken advantage of, but it's important to remember that the guilt and shame are not your own. The narcissist used tactics like gaslighting and abuse to control and exploit you, leaving you in a state of fight, flight, or freeze and unable to access the reasoning parts of your brain. Now that you are away from the toxic relationship, you may have more clarity and be able to ask questions like, how could I have let that happen? Or why could I stop it? Or why couldn't I stop it? However, it's important to be gentle with yourself and recognize that the situation was much more complex than it appears now. Give yourself compassion, embrace your true nature, and work towards healing. Remember that at the time you were doing what you believed was the right thing and were not in control of the situation. Recognizing and accepting this truth is a crucial step in freeing yourself from the aftermath of the narcissist manipulation. I think this is all I can say in today's video. We will meet again at the next one. Till then, let us keep healing ourselves.
It is wonderful to have you back on our video. Presently, individuals are discussing the renowned flying monkeys. Not to worry, that will shortly become apparent. In the interim, ensure that you subscribe to our channel and select the bell to receive the most recent narcissism-related content. You will shortly encounter a multitude of videos, many of which contain valuable and intriguing information, but may be unfamiliar to you. Now let us return to our primary subject matter, flying primates. What to do if a narcissist in your life begins to alienate others will be discussed in this video. You, being an individual who belongs to this egocentric culture, may have encountered the expression flying monkeys. The narcissist disparages you in front of your parents, friends, siblings, co-workers, and anyone else in your network in an attempt to undermine your support system and gain their allegiance. The flying monkey dynamic is frequently observed, particularly in the context of a divorce. Given that the individuals involved in the breakup share extended family networks, the narcissistic partner exploits this circumstance to manipulate the opinions of their soon-to-be ex-partner's circle of acquaintances by disseminating negative narratives. Their objective is to convince these individuals to align with them in order to undermine the support system of their adversary and demonstrate their superior strength. Already, the partner in a narcissistic relationship doubts their own value due to the narcissist's constant attempts to gaslight them. When members of their trusted network are in close proximity to the narcissist, they develop an even greater sense of self-doubt. One might inquire, how do they accomplish this? In essence, narcissists possess an abundance of charisma and individuality. They have a solid understanding of how social situations function and appear to be generous, qualities that facilitate their networking. They are exceptionally skilled at manipulating individuals and convincing them to believe their falsehoods. They exert both logical and emotive appeals through their charisma, which motivates others to assist them. They will do anything to damage the reputation of your daughter, sibling, or friend, and they set the tone for the conversation. While conveying negative feedback regarding your loved ones, they might adopt a condescendingly cautious tone. However, exercise caution, as these represent merely a fraction of the methods they employ in an effort to elevate their status. They are extremely effective at coercing others to do their bidding, which is abhorrent. To obtain what they desire, they will fabricate elaborate tales, replete with blatant falsehoods, or use your previous arguments against you. The objective is readily discernible. Their desire to be in control is contingent upon the support of all individuals. Comparable in some respects to what children do while playing on the field is their strategy. However, their objectives are considerably more weighty, and their strategies are considerably more effective due to their demand for complete control over their surroundings. Narcissists place the utmost value on achievement. Their primary motivation is to acquire power and exert control over others. Additionally, they feel even better about themselves when they engage in this behavior. However, what should one do if they discover that they are manipulating them? Narcissists are notoriously successful in circumstances referred to as flying monkey. You must first allow yourself sufficient time to process your emotions regarding this issue. It is normal to experience sorrow and hurt when a narcissist spreads false accusations about oneself, contaminating the minds of former close associates. Avoidance of one's presence may manifest in the form of unanswered phone calls or cancellations of arrangements. This may give you the impression that everyone is abruptly withdrawing from you. An individual who comes to mind is a man whose sibling is egocentric. His brothers attempted to tarnish his reputation and spread vile rumors about him among their friends and family, but he was too far away to communicate with them frequently. Conversely, this benevolent individual was profoundly impacted by this psychological maltreatment. Prioritize your health and seek assistance from dependable family members, acquaintances, or a therapist in order to manage the emotional effects. Lastly, it is critical to maintain composure and counter their unfounded allegations by providing substantial evidence and engaging in direct communication with the affected individuals. The supportive sibling was taken aback by the icy and indifferent manner in which he was received at the family gathering. He began to reflect on his actions and pondered whether he had inadvertently caused harm to anyone, as he failed to comprehend the motivations behind their behavior. He pondered whether he had overlooked the date of his demise or anything else. He was unable to deduce the solution. A few months later, he received word from a member of his social network that his brother intended to disseminate false information and falsehoods regarding him. From it, he took a significant blow. In retrospect, he realized how skillfully the narcissist had executed each of those conversations and occurrences. The ease with which the ego exerted control over others was devastating to observe. Despite the intricate nature of the family unit and its numerous moving parts, the considerate sibling was devastated and at a loss for action. This group of individuals, who had previously supported him, had abandoned him and turned their backs. A number of you may have experienced comparable circumstances. Real injury and destruction could result from these circumstances in the workplace, in the community, and with your family. Due to their deficiency in empathy, narcissists frequently fail to comprehend the impact their behaviors have on others. Their tactics can have severe consequences for those they intend to harm. When I asked the empathetic sibling in this narrative whether the deceased held any significance in his life, he responded affirmatively. I recommended that he initiate communication with them once more on a personal level. I cautioned him against defending himself, providing detailed explanations, or attributing narcissism to his brother. It was his family and friends who already liked him, so he should simply be himself around them, I advised him. Due to the statement made by his siblings, they successfully deceived him. He acted appropriately by following my recommendation and engaging in conversation with them. As he initiated conversation with them, it was intriguing to observe the gradual transformation of their perceptions of him as they came to understand his exceptional qualities and benevolence. It was not difficult to comprehend their slight confusion. He acknowledged the occurrence of inappropriate conversations within their family and expressed remorse if anyone had been offended. He was successful in re-establishing communication with the majority of those who had abandoned him and regaining their trust and confidence by implementing this strategy. I sympathize with your predicament and can only imagine how distressing it must have been to witness individuals you once considered friends and family members begin to change their views about the narcissist. Some individuals who liked you prior to the unfortunate event were able to swiftly forget about it. Those who remained unmoved by the falsehoods your narcissistic brother told you and placed their complete trust in them were even more detrimental to you. When you called me to discuss your position, I advised you to reconsider the value of retaining individuals who could easily abandon you. I'm certain that it was difficult to interact with these individuals, as you had known them for quite some time. Nonetheless, if they were so readily influenced by the words of a single individual, one must question the initial strength of the bond. Furthermore, why didn't they discuss their concerns with you directly when the narcissist who was damaging your reputation was a close relative, spouse, or friend? It demonstrates the significance of communication and the necessity for candid conversations and open dialogue. It is crucial that when someone lies and distributes rumors about you, those around you remove themselves from the situation and have the courage to confront you directly about it, rather than accepting what they've heard as gospel truth. If the individuals you considered to be family and acquaintances genuinely cared about you, the well-being conscious members of your social circle would have confided in you about their concerns. Individuals with whom one shares healthy relationships are typically the first to initiate communication by expressing distressing news, such as the benevolent sibling in the previous instance. In the narrated account, the sole reliable and trustworthy friend of the kind sibling was the first to discern an error and engage in conversation with him regarding it. It was fascinating to observe how, as time passed, and the considerate sibling continued to converse with the group, an increasing number of individuals voiced their concerns. A distinction was apparent to them between their knowledge of him and the unfounded accusations levied against him. The majority of the time, innocent individuals in your vicinity will recognize your deceit and ruse and approach you directly. However, if you have committed no wrongdoing, having to reconstruct your image can be incongruous, distressing, and painful. It could require considerable effort, mental fortitude, and time to overcome this callous and unjust circumstance. Seeing the integrity of one's connections put to the test can induce unease. One could potentially discern a positive aspect by contemplating how the narcissist's conduct has illuminated the reality of certain aspects of one's relationships. It is critical to ascertain whether the individuals whom one could have easily persuaded were genuine companions or merely acquaintances. I always advise individuals who have been injured by flying primates to behave themselves. Narcissists are adept at exerting dominance over others and exploiting their vulnerabilities. It is essential in these circumstances to be considerate of those who may have fallen victim to deception. Instead of denying rumors, it is preferable to express sympathy and acknowledge the individual's distressing circumstances. One could express regret that they have been placed in such a distressing circumstance and wish them a better understanding of oneself to recognize that the allegations concerning oneself are unfounded. Motivate them to engage in direct communication with you moving forward, and assure them of your unwavering availability to listen. By utilizing an experience that has caused you pain, you can demonstrate your goodness and willingness to assist others. To counterbalance the darkness of a narcissist, one must introduce light. Because narcissistic individuals are primarily motivated by fear, they manipulate others like chess pieces in order to achieve their objectives. Their strategy of sowing animosity towards you through the dissemination of falsehoods constitutes an integral component of their strategic game of chess. Their objective is to convince the greatest number of individuals possible to join their cause, thereby transforming the situation into a vicious game of deceit. However, you are not obligated to allow them to prevail. There is a possibility that the narcissist in your life will inappropriately divulge private details about your relationship. This may entail betraying your confidence and disclosing confidential information that you did not intend for others to know. The possibility of them using your family secrets against you is abhorrent, especially since you disclosed them with the intention of maintaining their confidentiality. When this occurs, every effort must be made to repair the wound. Should you have said something inappropriate, accept responsibility and make an effort to rectify the situation. Therapy can assist you in coping with the gaslighting, which can induce feelings of instability and confusion during this difficult time. It is critical to keep in mind that there are individuals who have your back, and you should make an effort to locate them. In the same way as the story about the nice sibling, some members of that individual's social circle claim to have heard something that they knew to be false. These are the individuals who can provide assistance to you. The sole positive aspect of having flying monkeys and narcissists turn others against you is that it illuminates your true allies and friends. People's haste to abandon you may indicate that the relationship was never truly committed to each other. The most effective course of action when confronted with obscurity is to shed light on the circumstance. Seek the affection and assistance of individuals who have faith in you and will be by your